Hello, and welcome to my channel, where I talk about consulting and how to get a consulting offer. Before we start, I offer tutoring if you want one-on-one advice on questions like these, and there's a link in the description below to find out more. In this video, I'll show you how to answer a market sizing question on paintbrushes in the UK. Let's dive into it. Before we start, there are always 5 key things to remember when doing market sizing questions. First, ask for clarification on the question. You might be asked about an industry you haven't really heard of before, and a lot of times the question relies on information you wouldn't be expected to know, like the population of Dallas, or how much loft insulation material costs, as these would be hard to calculate from fundamental principles. It's okay in these cases to ask questions to help you before you start. Second, when making estimates, make sure you can defend if you are asked about them, because you will receive pushback from your interviewer on why you chose that figure. Third, although you can ask some clarifying questions, you will be expected to know figures like the population of the UK, which is 70 million, or occasionally New York City, which is 8 million. Fourth, work out what kind of answer you're expected to give, whether it's the number of items or the market size, i.e. the total value of those items. It's very easy to stop when you've reached the number and forget to multiply by the price to get the market size. Finally, at the end, bring the answer back to the question you were originally given in the interview or offer ways to improve the answer. So the question I am asking today is, what is the market size for paintbrushes in the UK? See if you can answer it, ideally in 3 minutes or less. Now I'll give you some time to pause the video, and when you're ready, click play and we'll go through the answer. To calculate the market size, we must work out who buys paintbrushes in the UK. There are 3 main users. School children. All schools and most universities will have an art department. School children make up about 20% of the UK's 70 million population, or 14 million. Households. Lots of households will have paintbrushes lying around for DIY purposes. There are roughly 30 million households in the UK. Artists. Lots of people paint decoratively, whether as painters, artists, or amateurs at home. This number is hard to estimate, but very small, less than 1% of the population. And we don't have enough time to calculate this properly, so we will neglect this category. So that gives us 3 categories. Next, we calculate the cost for the first 2 categories to give the total market size. For school children, they will have typically art supplies for a few classes, not one per every person, so including spares, there's likely enough for 25% of all classes at one time, or 3.5 million paintbrushes. As most are very simple paintbrushes, the cost is likely £1 each. And as they're used quite frequently, they're most likely replaced once a year. So 25% of 14 million is 3.5 million paintbrushes, costing £1 each and lasting for 1 year. This gives a market size of £3.5 million annually. Households. 50% of households will have at least 1 paintbrush, more likely 3 as they would buy a set of 3 of different sizes. This gives us 15 million households with 3 paintbrushes, or 45 million paintbrushes. Households are unlikely to buy a new set each year though, so we can assume they are replaced once every 10 years. These paintbrushes will likely cost £5, as they are more likely to be used for DIY and so will be bigger. 3 paintbrushes times 15 million households times £5 divided by 10 years gives us £22.5 million. This gives us a total annual market size of £26 million. Now, we have reached an answer, but is it any good? Well, we can check online and we find that the total value of paintbrushes sold in the UK each year is £35 million, with 10 million alone spent on artist paintbrushes in the UK. So overall, our answer for school children and households was quite accurate, but what do we do wrong with the artist calculation? Well, we neglected a third archetype, that while the smallest part of the population makes up 30% of the market. This shows us that even a set of consumers that are very small can still spend a lot and be a major part of the market. Usually at this point, there will be an extension question asked. In this case, using the information about the market size and segmentation you have determined, please answer the following. If a new paintbrush company was looking to expand into the UK, what segment of the market should it focus on? Now I'll give you some time to pause the video, and when you're ready, click play and we'll go through the answer. Well, we don't know how fragmented each market is, but we know school children is the smallest market at only £3.5 million and is unlikely to grow larger as it is tied to the UK population. Artists buy a lot of paintbrushes and make up £10 million of the market, but having a premium offering means it is likely competition will be quite high. And again, the number of artists is not likely to increase over the next few years. Households are the largest market at £22.5 million and have a lot of capacity to grow. Think repeat offerings, loyalty schemes once paintbrushes are more than 5 years old rather than waiting until they're 10 years old. Also, at the moment, with the cost of living crisis, it is likely that many people will choose to do their own painting over hiring a painter for their DIY. So we can foresee this market as likely to grow over the next few years. Therefore, we would conclude from this information that a new paintbrush company should focus on the households market. Now it's your turn to answer. What was your final number, and how long did it take for you to reach it? How did you go about solving it, and how would you solve the extension questions I was asking? Let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and please check out my other videos where I go through more consulting interview tips and tricks. Let me know what questions you have or what type of questions you'd like me to go through next. If you're applying to consulting companies this year, I offer tutoring for questions just like this, and you can follow the link in the description below to find out more. Thanks and goodbye.